this guy who was caramel colored said to me, "You're pretty for a dark skinned girl." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he was stuttering. He was like, I mean, and I was like, "I'm just pretty." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." Because, you're saying something to me that is negative and can be uncomfortable for some people. So I'm going to make you uncomfortable. So explain to me what that means. Because you don't go around saying, "You pretty for a light skinned girl. You pretty for a white woman.
Bingo.
You pretty for a Puerto Rican.
You're
pretty
absolutely correct.
Huh?
I think we can make the teachable moment. Just educating people on so that they don't do it to somebody else.
And I hope he didn't do it to nobody else. I just remember his name. I can never ever remember his name. And I just remember his name. And his name is... What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Straight Chaos No Chaser. I am Adrian, your host. And today I have some beautiful ladies on today. I have Natosha, Latisha, and Toccara. What's up, girls?
Hey.
How are we?
Good. Excited.
Yeah, excited. You should be. Okay. Listen, I hate how I be like, "What's up, girls?" Like my daddy. Hi, girls. All right. So before we get into our conversation today, let's make a toast. Do y'all have your drinks together? Yes. All right. So we are going to make a toast to being open and keeping it plain. Cheers.
Cheers.
Boop.
That's a good one.
That's going on real nice today. So I like to start off by asking what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly. And so, Natosha, you've been a guest on my podcast before, so you are aware what this means. So actually, since you have been a guest, you get the opportunity to go first.
Oh, well, thank you. What's good? What's good is I just got a raise on my job.
Oh, yes. Money. Praise God.
It's been 12 years, so I'm excited about that. That is the good. The bad is the talks of this new variant in France. Stay where you at, variant. We don't want nothing else coming back over here.
Really?
Okay? Yes. That's the bad.
Oh, wow.
The ugly is, I think for the last 2 years, as I get a little older, I'm starting to get these dark marks on my forehead. And it's not right. It's ugly. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly for me.
Do you think it's something that you're doing, like maybe your diet?
I think it's hormonal.
Mm.
It could be, Adrian. It could be. Yeah, that's out of whack too. So it could be that. It could be just a little aging. It could be environmental. It could be anything really. But
okay, well,
yeah.
I mean, hey, I guess we got to roll with the punches, girl. Stuff be happening. Stuff be happening. What about you, Tisha? What's good? What's bad? And what's ugly?
That's good for me. I don't think I told y'all, but I recently bought a house, like maybe 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I sold one in Maryland. I bought one in Georgia. And I guess my bad would be unpacking. It's killing me. So
yeah, it is.
It's really killing me trying to get organized. And Tasha, my ugly probably going to be the same with you. I'm getting those marks on my chin, actually. So I don't know where they're coming from either. But I don't know. Oh, I was thinking about maybe changing my products and my routine to see if that helps, but I'm getting dark around the bottom area as well. But you're not alone.
Thank you.
Well, Toccara, what about you? What's good, what's bad, and what's ugly?
Okay, what's good? I got a promotion and a raise over the summer.
Oh yeah.
However, I was feeling like the job is no longer a good fit for me, so I think I'm getting on with a new company. I'm waiting on confirmation on Tuesday. That's good. What's bad is I am a Southern girl, and I hate winter in the DMV. Snowed 2 weeks ago. It snowed today. I am not for it. What's ugly? The knee pain that I thought I had got rid of is coming back. And I'm like, man, is it because I'm getting like 39? What's going on? I thought we fixed this. What's really good? But yeah, that's my good, bad, and ugly. So Adrian, what's your good, your bad, and your ugly?
What's good is I'm actually gonna go home in a couple of weeks. So I'm always happy about being able to go back to the South and just visit my friends, my family, my nephew, that little boy, my whole heart. The last time I was home, he said, "TT Adrian, I really love you." I said, "Oh," because he used to be like pulling teeth to ask him to tell me he loved me. I'd be like, "I love you." He'd be like, "I'm supposed to say something back?" I'm like, "Yeah, tell me you love me back." So that's a good thing that I'm going home. What's bad is actually ever since I came back from home for the holidays, my skin is really dry. And so I love being out here in Vegas. It's very dry. And so you have to put like water softeners in your water. And I'm not good at doing stuff like that. I'm not. And so when I go home, there's moisture there. I mean, I love showering when I'm home because the water is just different. It's soft and my skin just loves it. But then when I come back to Vegas, like give it like a week or two, my skin gets real dry and it gets real splotchy. So when I wash my face, it's just ugly and I just have to really put some lotion on it. What's ugly, I'll join a club. My knee is hurting. And I would say like last year I started getting those spots like down here. And my skin has fairly been clear for the most part. And then also what's ugly is like I got a little friend, like a little hair friend. I got a little hair friend. Child, my friend got a friend. My friend was like, "Come, look, I got somewhere you can sit." Child, when I tell you I got like 2 of them, it's time to cut them. And I don't pluck them. Like, because I don't want it to be like a dark spot or something. So I'll cut it with some scissors. But my mom was like, "You better pluck that thing." I'm like, "Nah, Shawty." Like, I see the way your chin down there got them little spots when you, we ain't doing that. We not doing that. So it's time. I think, honestly, they've been there for quite some time. And it's time to, I think I don't want to cut them yet, but I need to cut them. I think what's going to happen is somebody going to embarrass me and be like, "You got hair on your chin?" That's what's going to cut them.
One thing about that, though, that could potentially be a sign of PCOS.
That's what?
I don't know if you've had any of those issues or anything like that. It could potentially be a sign of PCOS. Sometimes women who suffer from PCOS with their cycles and stuff, they tend to have like sometimes chin hair or chest hair.
Oh, nah, don't give me that chest hair now.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to put that on you.
I rebuke you, Toccara, in the name of Jesus.
No,
that girl
I
you're going to get some chest hair. I would never put that on anyone. I would never intentionally put that on anyone. You just did. You see how she tried to take that back? Chest hair.
I think it's an age thing. I'm sorry. I think it's an age thing.
It is.
But actually, Tisha, I don't know if you can attest to what Adrian is saying, but I started getting those friends after I had Christian. I don't know if it's a hormonal thing when it comes to that hair stuff.
I be like,
but it's not right.
Mine wasn't that to fit me. I got those friends too, and they probably started like 2 years ago for me. But I go get like sugar scrubs, and they like use this wax and it off. It doesn't hurt. It's not painful.
Like on your face?
Put, like,
I did do a sugar scrub once.
A gold sugar wax, and then they use the wax to peel it.
Yeah, we are getting older, so that's something that I was thinking about a few weeks ago because I've been like struggling with my weight. And Toccara, you and I first of all, I be in Toccara inbox like, so Toccara, so eating this. So Toccara is she's amazing. She is I don't want to say it wrong. You're not a bodybuilder. What are you? You are a
bodybuilder and powerlifter. I do both.
Listen, a beast. I'm to my. You see some of them pictures? I don't want to eat for like 4 days. Okay,
oh my God,
because her body is snatched, all the way snatched, and so she has always been. She shares so much about what it is that I can do, and as far as like eating, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, well, I'm having issues, but I know part of my issue is inconsistency. You know what I'm saying? And it gets harder as you get older, but just something I was thinking about last week, like, 20 years ago, I could try, do the bare minimum and lose like 10 pounds in no time. But now it gets harder, of course, because we're growing, we're older, our metabolism slows down, hormonal imbalances. And so that's something that I'm really actually using as a crutch, when this weight don't fall. I'm like, it's my hormones. And I don't even know that it is, but that's what I'm saying. So, some very distinguished women on this show today. Not that the other women aren't, but Toccara, power lifter. Tisha over here has some beautiful cards that she makes for children, right? They're like cards for children. And then, of course, y'all know my girl, Natosha, is an amazing fashion designer. All right, ladies, so we're going to go ahead and get into our conversation today. We are having a conversation about being dark-skinned women and just some of the things that we've had to take on with that. It's no secret that there is a conversation around being dark-skinned. So who best than dark-skinned women to talk about this? I don't like to refer to it in a negative connotation. So I just say, who better than some beautiful dark-skinned women to, have a conversation about this topic. So first thing that I want to ask is, do you remember the first time you felt the way about your skin? Like, can you remember, like, how old you were or, like, where you were in time? You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I remember being in elementary school. I was maybe, like, in the second grade, and I grew up with my grandmother, and I had a lot of male cousins. So I was, like, the only girl. So that's how I kind of got a little bit of tomboyish in me as well because of that. But we would be outside playing and stuff, and they would call me Blackie and Tar Baby and stuff like that. And it used to, like, I'm pretty sure I used to cry, and I would talk to my grandmother, or I would say it to my grandmother. I'd be like, oh, they call me Blackie. That's what they used to call me, Blackie. And she'd be like, don't worry, baby, Blackie's beautiful. But I remember being like 9 years old, and that's when it first started with me. So when do you remember that you kind of felt a way about your skin, somebody making you feel a way about your skin?
I was in middle school, and I remember it started, like you said, it started with jokes on the bus, about, actually it was late elementary, as a matter of fact, because I was riding the bus. So it started about jokes.
You have
something when it came to my skin color. And then I also remember going into middle school when I realized that my dad's color was different than my mom's. I don't know why I remember that, but my dad is he is like a very brown, like pecan tan, if you will, kind of on the lighter end. And my mom and I had the same color skin. Mm-hmm. And I remember that the girls who had a fairer hue in middle school, the boys tended to like more than the darker girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember praying vividly that I wish I could be my dad's color and not my mom's color.
Mm.
And looking back on it, it's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
But I prayed that. I was like, I just want to be my dad's color and not my mom's color. And I tried to scrub my skin. It was a real thing for me. I did. I tried to scrub my skin so that it would be lighter. And it's really sad to think about, but that's when I remember it.
Yeah, I same thing. My grandmother didn't have a shower. She only had a tub. And I remember scrubbing, especially my knees. Because, I mean, you're playing all the time, and you're always on your knees and, you know, doing stuff. And they were just the darkest. And I would just scrub. I mean, yeah. Like, so I can relate to that, you know, just trying to scrub your color away. What about you, Tisha and Toccara?
So I remember when I was about in the 3rd or the 5th grade, we was having like a get together at my house, and I was outside and I was sunbathing or tanning, and a family friend was like, "Girl, you don't need to tan. You already dark enough." And so my mom came to my defense, was like, "She can tan if she wants to. There's nothing wrong with that." I guess I really realized like, my skin is different because in my family we all different shades, and so like you, Tasha, I'm actually my dad's shade. My mom is actually lighter than me. My brother's lighter than me. So in the household, I was the darker one. So. But I never really realized it until he made that comment that day. And I'm like, why can't I sit outside and tan? So he was joking, but I don't think he realized what he could have potentially caused, like any harm to me. I've always loved my skin tone personally, so I've never had any issues where I felt like, I wish I was a different shade. In school, there's a lot of dark-skinned kids, light-skinned kids, so it wasn't like I was like the only one. So I saw myself a lot, even in like teachers. So I just think that's important to see yourself. So I was able to see myself a lot in my community.
But that's important, like, for you to say, I didn't have an issue, you know, because, like, being such a young girl, and a lot of times we have insecurities. That's when we have our insecurities most. And so for you to find comfort and to just kind of stand in your color based off the people that you saw, like, that's big. And because I, you know, most people didn't do that.
Well, when I got to grad school, I had a friend. She was dark skinned, and she was like, "You're just so confident, and I just have issues." And I was just like, it was unrelatable for me. And I'm like, I didn't understand how she had those feelings, but I guess I was kind of blind to it. So now I understand how important it is to embrace beautiful all dark skinned girls. If I ever see one in the store, I make sure I say, "Hey, pretty girl." Because a lot of times they might not hear that at home if their mom is a different shade, and their mom just might can't relate. So just being able to do that when I do see little girls out.
That's dope. Toccara.
So I think I remember when I was little, and it might have been before school. My dad, I'm a daddy's girl. I'm everybody's girl, really. But my dad would always call me his pretty black baby. He would always say that to me. And it was a good thing. Don't get me wrong. However, my grandmother I love with all my heart, and I still cry about her. And when I got older, I realized she didn't really mean anything by it. But she would always talk about how when I was born, when I was a preemie. And, you know, the story was, you know, when they were at the hospital and they were asking to see the Brooks baby. And it was just like, she said something to the effect of, "Well, I know that's not my grandbaby because she looks like a little black wet rat." And I would think that, you know, maybe some people wouldn't see a problem with telling that as a story. Once you hear it so many times, it's like,
okay,
what are we doing here? Like, so I think that's when I kind of started to have issues, and it's actually kind of crazy because my grandmother, she was a very dark woman, and I don't think that she didn't love me. I don't think that she had a problem with my color, but the telling of that and the retelling of that was just something that kind of got embedded in my head because, you know, even though my brother has gotten darker now that he's older, my brother was much lighter than me. And so I would look at his baby pictures and look at my baby pictures, and, you know, I would be like, man, there's so many pictures of him. Why aren't there a lot of pictures of me? And, you know, some people are like, well, you know, it's the firstborn, you know, by the time it gets to the second, third, so on, you know, that same kind of thing isn't there. But I would take those comments that were in the back of my head and be like, was it because I look like a black wet rat? Like, what's, you know, so I think that's when I became aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's just crazy how this thing starts for us so young, and being an adult now, like Tisha said, when you see a dark-skinned girl in the store, you make it a point to call her pretty, because it's important to know that you are beautiful no matter your shade. And, you know, honestly, it's just kind of like, who started this whole like light skin, dark skin thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I know way back slavery, you know, lighter skin, fairer skin, all that meant. But I just feel like right now, let's say 10 years, it's such a conversation of light skin, dark skin. And, you know, people have the dialogue of girls in music videos and in movies and in certain productions and TV shows, and just kind of like how there's a disproportionate amount of light-skinned girls or international women versus dark-skinned women. And I did read a post once where, you know, a lady was talking about, you know, a bunch of girls in a music video being naked, and they were just saying how there was no dark-skinned girls in the video. And one lady was like, I'm glad that I'm not, you know, being portrayed in that light, you know. However, somebody else was like, but still, you have all these many different women and you don't have dark-skinned girls there. So, but one, I wanted to ask, where did the shift come from? So, you know, back in the day, I'm redirecting, but, you know, back in the day, you had black women who were very prominent on TV. So, like, Family Matters or The Fresh Prince or just a lot of different shows. Even like Angela Bassett, you always saw her in film. But it's like now when you watch TV shows and sitcoms, you know, a lot of the mothers are lighter skinned or, you know, things like that. So
racially ambiguous.
Yeah, that. So it's kind of like, what made the shift happen? You know, that's what I always wonder. Like, when did it become unpopular to cast dark-skinned women in these TV shows?
I think one of the greatest mysteries of all time, when everybody kind of noticed something within the black community, is when they switched out Aunt Viv. When they took dark skin Aunt Viv and moved to light skin Aunt Viv. And I think the whole dark and light thing, dark always has this kind of negative connotation. So I can't figure out when you had, you know, like Florida Evans, even like way back before our time, being the prominent figures, and I had forgotten about Family Matters, had a darker skin mother and father. Mm-hmm. And then it just became like everybody became light and bright. And then when you look at the music industry, I want a light skin, red bone, and all these other things. And the craziest thing about that, it's always the darkest rappers with black daughters.
Every time.
So I'm like, well, how does that happen?
Every time.
You know?
Every time.
But I can't really pinpoint it, but I know that the whole Aunt Viv thing, for example, as far as TV, I know that's the first time it ever like really hit me. Like, so, you know, I'm sure it wasn't a color thing perhaps, but it was very noticeable.
Mm-hmm. And actually, what actually could have happened is, now that I think about it and I say it out loud, you know, when Aunt Viv was changed from dark to light, she was a different person. So the first Aunt Viv was assertive. She put her foot down. She was a force to be reckoned with. Right? Then light-skinned Aunt Viv was like kind of passive, more understanding, knew her place, and just like, so honestly, that may have been the shift, to be honest, because I mean, look at the drastic characteristics of the two characters.
It wasn't until you said that I just realized that.
You know?
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So that may have been the shift. But what I do know is that, you know, being dark skinned, and I can't remember if one of you already said this, but being dark skinned, I think some women see us as, or excuse me, being dark skinned, some people view us as being confrontational and angry, yes, angry, and just never satisfied and neck rolling,
unapproachable,
and that ain't what you want. And honestly, a bunch of women like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So many women are like that. Maybe they're not taken as seriously as we are. You know, maybe you feel like, I mean, because can't nobody light skin come up to me and put their foot down and I'll be like, oh, she just playing. No, she a woman and she mean what she's saying. You know, so it's like, why do we get all the negative, you know, why do we get the negativity from trying to be assertive and trying to be women who are heard and women who know that we belong and women who want to stand up for ourselves? Like, why do we get such a bad rep? You know?
I think it has a lot to do with media, entertainment. If you look at it, colorism plays a huge role in movies. A lot of times, darker skinned women, there are, you know, the caretaker role, like the mammy, and I hate that word, or, you know, the evil characters, you know, the horrible mother is almost always dark skinned. The bitter baby mothers in movies and stuff, they're always darker skinned. And the more understanding, and I hate to say it because we're women, so we're all feminine, even though, you know, some women do have masculine traits. But the lighter skinned women are viewed as more feminine, softer, more understanding. And some people might hate me for this, but that is one of the reasons why I just do not watch Tyler Perry movies, because there is a huge colorist element, whether it's darker skinned men or darker skinned women. I feel like they're always portrayed as like a villain, and I don't like that because I don't see myself as a bad guy. I don't see myself as a villain. Like, we're just as worthy of having this soft, caring, nurturing role as anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, girl, that was good.
I know. You said a mouthful right then.
Ooh. I had to think about it.
Sorry.
Honestly,
I was thinking about that Tyler Perry movie. I can't think of the name of it. The very first one with Charles, and he kicked her out.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
And she was describing it. That's what actually was in my head. And then you said Tyler Perry, and I was like, ooh, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
You know, the last Tyler Perry
why
movie.
I can't deal with it.
The last Tyler Perry movie I saw was Acrimony in theaters, and a friend and I at the time, she was like, I'm done with Tyler Perry. Like, he always making black women just seem crazy. And, you know, honestly, you know, I like Tyler Perry movies, but it's like always, like we always just crazy, crying, and we just look bad. And true, there always have to be a struggle. And true enough, we always make a comeback. But it's like, this is not all black women. And true enough, I don't know where he gets this from. Maybe this is something that he saw, you know, and it's something that I can't fault him for. But, you know, it just kind of a little disheartening where it's like family reunion where, I mean, in that one, the lighter skinned girl was being abused by Blair Underwood as
Doctor.
And you got I mean, just a bunch of them, but just a portrayal of black people, period. It's just kind of like, okay, now that is little girls, you know, That's a good one. You know, it is. But I totally get what you're saying. But for real though, for a while I'm like, Tyler Perry hate black women. Like, really? Like, don't make us look like this.
Especially the dark ones. Like, what's going on?
So let me ask you this, Tisha.
God.
Tisha, have you ever heard the phrase "you're pretty for a dark skinned girl"?
I have heard it before. I actually one of my good friends, she said it one day about somebody, and I told her like, girl, that's not how you say it. Just say she's pretty. You don't have to say she's pretty because she's dark. So I have heard that phrase, and I had another friend when I lived in Maryland. We worked in DC, and they would tell her that all the time, and she would get so upset when people. But she would always correct them, though, let them know, don't say that. I don't think I've ever been told that person that I can remember. I have heard it before. They have T-shirts too. Have you seen those T-shirts?
I think it's like pretty for a dark skinned girl, but it's like it's marked out and it just says pretty. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that. Tasha and Toccara, have you guys heard that before?
I have been told that more times than I can count. And as I was telling a friend today that I was getting ready to do your podcast, I told her one thing that I will never forget, and this is from a black man who was actually maybe a shade darker than me, who told me that, he's like, I don't date black women, especially not dark-skinned women. But if I were to date dark-skinned women, you're like one of the good ones. And I told her, I was like, to this day, I am still befuddled because what does that even mean?
Right.
That went way beyond your pretty for a dark-skinned girl. It's like, well, if I had to choose a dark-skinned girl, you're the kind I like.
It's like it's supposed to be a compliment. Like you're supposed to say.
It's not. My God, you would choose me. I'm honored.
I'm honored that I just can't. I just can't.
But sometimes I don't even think they know that it's more of an insult than a compliment. I don't even think.
But how? But how? Because when you say you're pretty for a dark skinned girl, what you're saying is dark skinned girls are ugly. That's what you're saying. All dark skinned girl. But you are a pretty one. Like, and honestly, the response that they expect from us. Oh, thank you.
Like, you chose me. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, screw you. Have you heard that before, Tasha?
I have, from our dear friend, God bless the dead, PJ.
Oh, yeah.
PJ.
He told all dark
went to school with Toccara at Fort Valley, and he only dated light-skinned girls. Only. And so he was like, you know what? If you was real pretty for a dark-skinned girl. That was the first time I ever directly heard it at Fort Valley. You're so pretty for dark-skinned. You better be happy you dark-skinned because I only date light-skinned girls.
Who didn't PJ tell that to? Who was dark skinned? And he would say that to me, and I look at him and roll my eyes, and I would say, "And you light skinned, and I don't like light skinned men, so the feeling is mutual." But I could never take anything serious from him because we were really, really good friends, and we joked like that. But
he was just a mess.
Yes,
but also too, my husband was like, yeah, when we dated, he didn't say pretty for a dark skinned girl. He didn't do that. He was like, I never dated a dark skinned girl. and my response was, and you chose to marry her, huh?
Right. You welcome. I'm gonna have to call Larry when I get off this show. You know what? Matter of fact, put him on. No, I'm kidding.
Put him on now.
Put him on. Wow. He said he never dated a dark skinned girl.
No.
You're welcome. I heard it. The first time I ever heard it, was 2013. I remember because I had just graduated. I had just graduated vet school, and I was on vacation with some friends in Florida, and there were some guys there who actually went to college with us, and we all ended up hanging out together that night at somebody's house or their Airbnb playing cards. This guy who was caramel colored said to me, "You're pretty for a dark-skinned girl." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he was stuttering. He was like, I mean, you know, and I was like, "I'm just pretty." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." Because, you know, you're saying something to me that is negative and can be uncomfortable for some people, so I'm going to make you uncomfortable. So explain to me what that means. Because you don't go around saying, "You pretty for a light-skinned girl. You pretty for a white woman.
Bingo.
You pretty for a Puerto Rican. You
You're
pretty for..."
absolutely correct.
I
Huh?
think we can make the teachable moments. You know, just educating people on so that they don't do it to somebody else.
And I hope he didn't do it to nobody else. I just remember his name. I can never ever remember his name. And I just remember his name. And his name is... I'm kidding.
Don't do
it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've dated people and they'll be like, "Oh, my family doesn't like dark-skinned girls. They want me to date lighter girls." I've dated people like that. I've dated someone, they was like, "Oh, his sister's like, oh yeah, he told us you was dark-skinned." I've had, I think, 2 relationships where they families, I guess, kind of not dictate, but they've been told growing up, you know, date a certain type of person or a certain type of skin tone. But so then, it might be stuff that home.
So how does that make you feel? So do you feel defeated? Because if I was in a relationship and somebody told me my family doesn't want me to date dark-skinned women or whatever, like, I would feel defeated. I would feel like this ain't gonna work. It wouldn't be something where I'm gonna try to prove to your family that I am still a stand-up person and a person who is worth it.
For me, no, because that person loves dark-skinned girls. That's their preference. I think for their family, they're just color struck, and so the grandmother was really light with curly hair, so that's something I guess they all was teased. And so the younger sister was dark and she was teased, so I guess in their mind they was trying to make everybody say like a fair complexion or something. I don't know.
So how did they treat you when you went around them, if you went around them, or did you ever interact?
I never felt weird or anything. I don't even think they know that I know. They'll just say, "Hey, you're so pretty," and stuff like that. But they never said anything to me. They never treated me funny. I never felt weird, no weird vibes or anything. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's good that they didn't make you feel away.
Yeah.
Because of your...
That's happened in 2 relationships. So neither one of them I felt weird or anything. It's just, I guess, stuff they talk about behind closed doors and stuff. But it happens in families.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask. So have there been any other instances where you've had a negative vibe or a negative interaction with anybody concerning your skin color, your skin tone?
I have sometimes felt like, you know, there are some lighter skinned men who won't date darker women, but then I also feel like there are some lighter skinned men who may kind of on the same hand be more attracted to darker skin as a fetish as well. And they may not see that. Red flags for me in that area always comes when they're like, "Oh my God, your skin is so beautiful, it's so dark," and blah, blah, blah. Like when you go on and on and on about it, it makes me feel away. Because like, are you really into me? Or is it the skin color you're looking for? And I know it sounds really weird, but I've had an extraordinary life. And I've had those things happen to me. And so I'm like, is it my color? Is it me? Are you looking for an experience or something? Because one thing I also know is that, you know, darker women are often more sexualized than lighter skinned women. They're seen as, you know, sometimes easier or more promiscuous. Because for whatever reason, due to media, music, television, whatever, we do tend to have lower self-esteem due to everything that happens around us. So because our self-esteem might be lower, we might just go along to get along and just, you know, get into whatever because that's the best we can do.
don't know that I think that we have the most low self-esteem. I mean, I just feel like
I don't know.
I mean, I guess I feel like because when you said that, I just thought about somebody in my head who's like super light, who has like really bad low self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I know that we face a lot and we go through a lot. I think that we are extremely strong. You know, that's something that I think. But I don't want to, for me, I don't want to say, you know, I guess I just don't want to buy into just another something that we have, you know what I'm saying, that people want to give us. Like, oh, now we got low self-esteem. Like,
I can agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
I definitely understand that.
So it's just kind of like now I know me as a person, like growing up, I did have low self-esteem. And that's a conversation for another day. And honestly, who I am today is because of who I was when I was younger, you know, coming up. Like, you got to step into your light. But I just feel like as a black woman and as a dark-skinned woman, period, I just hate titles that are given out to people, negative things like, oh, they are, you know, they depressed and they got low self-esteem and, you know, woe is me. And I just don't want to subscribe to something else with that, because I just feel like we're some of the strongest women because we are kind of appointed to the low end of the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? We're appointed to the bottom of the totem pole. And regardless of what you say I am or who you think I am, I know who I am. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like, that's it.
But do you think that's here or just here?
You said what?
You think that's everywhere or just in like United States?
Oh, it's in the U.S. It's in the U.S. and it's in other places as well, for sure. But however, in other regions, they love us. They love us. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something that just it was so sad to see. I went to Jamaica about a month ago. And our line sister lives over there, and she actually took us to like the innermost parts of Montego Bay. And we were on the street with, you know, locals. And she was like, you'll see some people's faces are really light. And it's because they bleach their skin. And it was the saddest thing to see. It was, like they bleach it to the point where their faces will be burned. Like, it's very noticeable. It just looks like a dilution of something. That's what their face looks like. You know how you may sit a painting or something in some water and it's diluted? That's what their faces look like. Like, around their lips will be like a little black, and around the eyes will be black, and then the rest will be just kind of like a lighter color. But you could tell. And this one lady, the last lady that I saw, her face was like red, like severely burned, but she was smiling. And that was the saddest thing I saw, that you do not want to be that shade of black. You do not want to be dark skinned. You do not want to be brown skinned that bad, where you will risk your life because they've died from it. I have a classmate out here who's Jamaican, and I saw her after my trip, and I was like, man, it was so sad to see that, you know, Jamaicans bleach their skin. And she was like, oh yeah. She's like, it's bad. She's like, they'll even die from it. She's saying they know they'll die from it, and they still do it. And it's real bleach too that they'll put in it. Like,
they said it's very cancerous.
I don't know what it is, but it was just really, it was heartbreaking to see, man. Like, and I be thinking about stuff on a different level. I think about what children see, what young girls see, what young boys see, you know? So it's like, you know, people don't like dark-skinned girls. Oh, I want to be light. You know, people don't like this, or this is the type of girl who gets attention, or this is the type of guys who get attention or who excel. And it just makes me sad. And so I try to, like Tisha, you know, I try to pour into young people. pour into them. Let them know you're beautiful just the way you are. There is no competition. Just do your best. Like, just do your best. Give it all you got, and you can run with anybody, anywhere. You know, that whole skin thing, it just makes me sad. It does. It makes me sad. And I hate when, you know, when young kids don't have somebody to look up to, you know, like you need to see somebody in certain lights. You need to see a dark skinned girl doing this. You need to see a dark skinned man doing this. You know what I'm saying? Doing that. Yeah, I just think it's really, really important to pour into our youth and just let them know that they are worth it and they are beautiful no matter their shade. No matter their shade.
Yeah, I agree with Toccara when it comes to the workplace like that aspect. Um, I remember when I first started at my work, and I did not. I was the only black girl in the lab where I was, like the only one. So what did I do? I shrunk 12 years ago, shrunk to, I would never do this. I would never wear color in my hair because I didn't want to seem like the ghetto black girl. Or I would never wear like outrageous fingernail colors, or big earrings was a no-no for me. These are things that I put on myself because of my environment, of where I work, you know. And so there was something that just clicked maybe like 5 years ago for me at my job, where I was like, yep, I'm wearing this natural hair. You're going to get all these natural edges today. And I'm wearing my earrings. I'm going to wear whatever color shade. I didn't used to wear color. Like I would wear blacks and grays and brown. Like I would not wear, I'm just starting to really wear color when I started Courageous Creations. So, yeah, I didn't do a lot of those things. And one of the guys at my job, he was just ignorant. So going back to what Tisha said, it's a lot about education. But he was from China, and he wanted to know where I was from. And he was like, what part of Africa are you from? And I was like, I'm from Savannah, in here, from Georgia. I'm from Savannah. That's where I'm from. And I don't think he understood what I was saying, or maybe he just assumed, you know how people have their assumptions. But as it relates to just being, you know, that black girl, I really did shrink a lot at my job because I didn't know how, because coming from two HBCUs, undergrad, Fort Valley, straight up, you know, Alabama A&M, I'm in an environment of my peers, and when I get out of my environment, I am awestruck. I am like, oh, what do I do now? Like, I have to shrink. Like, I have to, you know, I have to conform pretty much. And so I'm so happy that I'm not like that anymore. But yeah, it was a whole journey for me.
Yeah, I can relate to not wanting to wear bright colors. Like Tisha, when you first got on the podcast, I was like, where did you get this sweater from? And it's funny because I used to only wear blacks and browns. I would never wear it. I was like, I don't think my skin tone looks good in like pinks and oranges. And I never forget, I went to Miami, like, I don't know, 2003 or something like that with a friend. And we were shopping, and I picked up something brown. And she was like, you're always in, like, dark colors. She's like, why? And I was like, because I don't think my skin tone looks good in bright colors. I love bright colors. Give me a pink shirt right now. I love it. It is beautiful. And, you know, but being in a workplace and having to, like, shrink myself, I've always been in a space where, or frequently been in a space where I'm the only black person. The other night I went to a dinner. I went to like an event dinner. I was the only black person. And I was like, I'm used to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a space that I've been in a lot. Even working, when I first started working out here, I was the only black doctor, you know, or I was the only black person. And yeah, I was the only black person in the entire building. And I can't say that I felt the need to shrink, but however, I didn't have the same liberty as you would to like wear what you want to wear and, you know, be expressive with my hair or my earrings and stuff like that, because I had to do stuff, you know, to a bare minimum. But I do think that like your hair is nice, you know, like all y'all hair, you know, is nice. And I just think that, you know, it just kind of like defines us. And I know sometimes we don't want to stick out, but a lot of times that's a thing that we need to do, you know, because we're not the same. Like, we are special. We are. And it's not to say that other people aren't, but, and that's something that I always try to say, like, just because I'm saying that I'm special, I'm not trying to take any light from anybody else, you know, because that's what people like to think. Oh, she thinks she all that. And I do think I'm all that. And guess what? You can think you're all that too. Like, you know, like, I mean, I'm not taking anything from you, you know? Like, Tasha, you all that. Tisha, you all that. Toccara, you all that. Like, we're all that.
So, you know, it's really funny about you saying that about, you know, shrinking ourselves and things like that. So, you know, we've been in this whole panorama for like 2 years now. I feel like we keep living 2020 or whatever over and over again.
Yes.
And so I went home, March of 2019. And my hair was completely black then, and I hadn't chopped it all off yet. And then, you know, I started living my best life when things opened back up here. And I was like, I'm going to go get my color. Girl, I finished my whole arm sleeve, right? I did all of this when, like, things are kind of slowly opening up. But I wasn't back in the office. Mm-hmm. And then I remember getting my promotion and my new position subcontracted under a company. And then they were like, hey, we're going to start back going to work 1 day a month, 1 day a week, or whatever. And I remember telling her husband, I was like, Alan, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have this brightly colored hair. I'm dark black girl. I'm heavily tattooed. And I was like, I don't want to be judged, you know, because of my appearance or whatever. And he was like, well, first of all, you already have the job. Clearly they saw something in your skill set that, you know, got you into the next position where you were supposed to be. And he basically ended up saying, if you want to wear short sleeves or go sleeveless, do it and F them people, because they're going to get where they're going to get. And the funniest thing about that is the first day I went back to work, I went with my full fro and my magenta hair and this cream colored short sleeve dress, sleeves fully out. And you know what? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And it's like, after that, the thing that hit me the most and it kind of upset me was like, I put all this pressure on myself because of previous things and prior things that I had been through or comments that people had made. It was a place that I had shrunken into. And at the end of the day, like, I remember that very first day being back with my little magenta fur or whatever, my sleeve all out. And I'm talking to the VP, and he was like, hey, is everything good? Is there anything we can do for you? Do you need anything? And that was it. That was it. I had worked myself up into such a tizzy, worried about, you know, my appearance as not only being dark skinned, but my hair. And even if my hair wasn't this color, you know, I remember for the longest time after I got out of the Navy, when I would go on interviews, because I stopped relaxing back in like 2013. But even when I would go on interviews, I would straighten my hair because I was just trying to appeal to a certain standard of beauty. And so it's just little things like that that kind of like upset me. Like, you know, I shouldn't have to do all of that to be accepted at a job, because if I have to do all of these things, is that a place I really want to be at. Because now I'm going to always feel like I'm having to tiptoe or adhere to a certain standard, and I'm not being myself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know, when you say that, no, girl, when you said about straightening your hair, so I get that. Sometimes, honestly, I think that we do this to ourselves mentally a lot more than other people do. I really do.
Yeah.
And, you know, that like one of the things that I cannot stand to see on like Instagram posts or Facebook posts, like black girls do this, black girls do that. I'm like, bro, who said we didn't? Like black girls vacation, black girls read, black girls have pets. I'm like, who says we don't? Like I don't want to be a part of that club. Black girls travel, black girls with passports. So what you trying to say? Like that is like taboo for us to have passports? I despise.
We can't leave the country.
Right. I despise seeing that. Black girls read. Yes, we read with the rest of the world. But some of the things, man, I swear, I just think we put on ourselves. And granted, like there is, you know, there are prejudices out there and, you know, racism. And sometimes we are looked over because of our ethnic features. We are, but sometimes I think some of the stuff we just kind of like do to ourselves. Like I saw a post where I think a lady was talking about straightening her hair, and this lady was saying, she was like, my daughter wants me to straighten her hair so bad, but I tell her no, like love your hair the way it is. And I'm like, See, you finna not have a relationship with your daughter all because you won't straighten her hair because you feel like she's gonna get lost in straight hair. Like, stop making it so much. Like, you want to know the truth behind straight hair? Guess what? Before I had a relaxer, my grandmother would straighten my hair, and how long that junk lasts? Like 2 days.
Right.
I would get dirt in it because I would go right outside. I get dirt in it, and I'd be like, dang. I'm getting in trouble. How much time and energy did that crap take? Like, they didn't have all those on. That's one of the reasons that I never wanted to go natural, because all I remember was a hair wash, a brush, combing out my hair, and then a straightening comb. We didn't have all that detangling stuff and stuff that made it easy to manage. And, you know, it's a luxury now. Back then, what? So back then, yes, when you got your hair straightened, it was less about, you know, thinking that you're more pretty because you got straight hair, and more about this takes a lot of time and energy for something that's not going to last. And to be honest, our grandmothers and our mothers knew that. Like, are you serious? I got my hair straightened, guess what? On picture day. And yeah, it was cute. And it wasn't every picture day that I got my hair straightened. For programs, I may have asked, can I have my hair straightened? Because I wanted it straight, but I knew it wasn't going to last long, because as soon as I started sweating, that junk was curled up and in a ponytail. And back.
It was church for me.
Yeah. So it's like, you know.
Easter for me.
Right. So it's like, for a woman to be like, my daughter asked me to straighten her hair, and I'm like, no, love your hair to where it is. It's like you're trying to force something on. You're actually trying to force something that you feel. And I don't want to call it an insecurity, but you're trying to force this on your daughter when she just wants a different hairstyle. I bet you braid it. I bet you put beads in it. I bet you change it up. Oh, but it can't be straight because of the European method. We don't want that. We don't want you loving that European culture. Oh my God. I just think it's too much, man. It's too much. It's not that serious, man. If that little girl want her hair straightened sometimes, straighten that little girl hair. That doesn't mean that she doesn't love herself anymore. It's your job as a parent to make sure that she knows that she's beautiful no matter what her hair looks like.
Exactly.
Man.
Girl, don't want to straighten that little girl hair. Anyway.
A to the man, honey.
I forgot to ask, did you ladies watch the documentary Dark Skin Girls?
I did earlier today.
I watched maybe like the first part of it, and it just made me sad. You know, it made me sad that like.
Wait, were you triggered?
I was, but it's like, it's that bad. But we had to have a documentary about us. But I want to say, Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it was very eye opening in the fact that a lot of things that I heard in the documentary, I thought that those were only things that I had felt. And even though some of those things were kind of painful, it made me feel like good in a way to know that I'm not the only one that experienced those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel it. But yeah, I've never felt like, I mean, just growing up as a dark skinned girl, I did feel passed over for certain things. Like guys, I feel like a lot of guys, like light skinned, short girls, and so I was tall and dark skinned, so it was like, whatever, I'll just date the older guys. So that's how that went. But I'm just glad that as an adult, I am comfortable and I'm confident in who I am and my skin color, my skin tone. I love being a dark skinned girl. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And that's just where I am with it. Well, ladies, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show today and having this conversation with me. Before we get out of here, usually I ask my guests to give one tip to the people, but this time I want to ask you, what would you say to the little black girl years ago? Like, what would you say to your little black girl, like yourself? Like, what advice would you give, or what would you say to her about her skin tone, or a little black boy? Like, what would you say to them right now?
Like me, even though it sounds very cliche, is knowing that you're enough no matter what, and that you actually set the standard that others aspire to achieve.
Tisha?
That's probably the same thing. You are enough. Keep going, and no matter what anyone else says, that you are beautiful, and just keep going.
Tasha, we working over here. Tasha's having some technical difficulties, y'all. We might have to sign languages out for her.
I would say love you, period.
I love it. Love you, period. I would say, and something that I said earlier, I would say, young Adrian, there is no competition. So many people want what you have, especially your skin color, and it sets you apart. Live in that, thrive in that. That's what I would say. Thank you, ladies, so much for being a part of this conversation. I appreciate it so much. You're beautiful, but you already know that. And just thank you for being one more person who is an example for some little boy or some little girl out there today. All right? All right, guys. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to this podcast. We will see you next time. Much love, peace, and chaos. Peace out.